Hey everybody, Teresa here from Inspiration Cards, and I'm back with another Stamp Jammies online card class. This month I'm going to be featuring the Tasteful Touches stamp set. This is one that I just love from the annual catalog. It also has a set of coordinating dies, and it's so versatile and the images are so much fun, so I can't wait to share the projects with you this month. If you missed out on signing up for the full class kit, which would include the Tasteful Touches stamp set, some of the In Good Taste Designer Series paper, plus the Night of Navy ink pad and all the supplies for the 4 cards we're going to be stamping this month, don't worry. You can still send me an email at inspirationwithteresa@gmail.com, and for just $20, I will send you the supplies that you need for the cards that we're going to be making this month. Anything else you need, stamp set and all that kind of stuff, if you live in Canada, I'm happy to get you hooked up with that as well. But in the meantime, let's dive into this week's card. So here's this week's card. Nice straightforward one to help showcase the In Good Taste Designer Series paper that came with this month's class kit. So what you're going to need for today's card is the large piece of Night of Navy cardstock. You'll also have 4 strips of In Good Taste Designer Series paper, 1 large piece of basic white cardstock, and then you'll also have a medium and smaller piece that's been cut out using one of the stitched rectangle dies, all in basic white. So keeping it very simple for this week's card. So to start off, I'm just gonna fold this piece of Night of Navy cardstock in half to create our card base. There we go. Use my bone folder to get that nice crisp clean fold. There we go. I'm going to set that off to the side and just grab the largest piece of basic white cardstock. Now I always like to add a little something on the inside of my cards. You can add a phrase, or in this case I'm going to actually be adding the feather image to the inside. Brings a little bit of the outside to the inside of the card, and still leaves plenty of room for a handwritten note or anything else that you'd like to put on the inside. And I'm going to put this down in the bottom left-hand corner. There we go. And I'm going to set that aside to dry. And then I'm going to grab, first I'm going to get the stitched piece of basic white, and on here is going to be our Just Saying Hello. You could also fit in the You Are Special from this stamp set as well, or if you wanted to turn it on its side and have it go more vertically, you could also squeeze in the You Are the Best, and then there'd still be room for some rhinestones or whatever you'd like to put around the edge. All right, so just going to gently tap my Stampin' Spot onto the stamp. There we go. And that's going to go right there in the center. Okay, we'll set that aside to dry. And so your other piece of basic white, we're going to add just a couple of feathers, which will then, just using my paper snips, just do a little fussy cutting. Now I do love the dies that coordinate with this stamp set, but I also love these images because if you don't have the coordinating dies, these images are not that difficult to have to cut by hand. So the feather image and even the larger flower, they're pretty straightforward to just cut out on your own. There we go. So 2 feathers with our Night of Navy. go. Just let that dry for a second. And then, so with my paper snips, it's up to you how intricate you want to get with the fussy cutting. But really, it doesn't take much to just wind your way around the feather. Here we go. There's one. There we go. And just like that, 2 feathers to add to our card. All right, so that's our stamping and everything done. So in order to assemble, I'm grabbing my Stamp and Seal. You can use whatever your go-to adhesive is, whether it's tape runner, glue dots. I know a lot of people use the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue, which is a great one. I'm a tape runner girl myself. There we go. So there's the inside. And so on the outside of our card, that's where our 4 strips of the designer series paper are going to come in. There's going to be just a very small gap between all of the strips. So I'm just going to line these up. That way I can get them placed exactly where I want them. There we go. All right, and I'm going to start on the edges. There we go. And then now this edge here. There we go. So now that'll make the 2 middle pieces a little easier to get into place. There we go, and one more. There we go. Make sure I've got that pattern lined up. There we go. All right. So next up is our just saying hello, and that's going to get popped up with just a few dimensionals. So I always like to start in the corners, and this one's a bit of a longer shape, so I'm just going to pop one right in the center there. And a quick easy peel of the papers off the back. And we're good to go. There we go. All right, and so for our feathers, I'm gonna add this guy here first, and this guy will just get overlapped just a little bit, just like that on the side. So this one here is just gonna, with a little bit of Stamp and Seal just in the middle. There we go. And this guy's going to be a little bit of Stampin' Seal on the bottom and then a Stampin' Dimensional on the top. There we go. There's that dimensional. And of course, I always like to add a little bit of bling to my cards. So here is my go-to, the Rhinestone Basic Jewels. And so I'm just going to use the spatula end of my Take Your Pick tool and sprinkle a few of these around the card. Go, and one more. I like doing them in odd numbers. So this will make for number 5. So there we go. Our first card using the Tasteful Touches stamp set. And as always, I do like to share an alternative using the same stamp set. So this one here is actually using, as you can see, the feather image, and this is the large flower that I was mentioning earlier. So the colors in this one are Pool Party and Misty Moonlight. I really like this combination actually. And for the background, what I did before I stamped the images was I actually used Stampin' Up's new blending brushes to just blend a little bit of Pool Party in the background, but then you still got the stamped feathers in full strength that really pop off the cardstock. And then, of course, we've got a few of our Rhinestone Basic Jewels. And this here is the Misty Moonlight and Silver twine that comes as part of the Flowers for Every Season ribbon combo pack. Now this one, I did cheat a little bit. This is one that I made actually before this stitched nested label dies retired. Very sad about that one, but you could very easily replace that with one of the stitched rectangle dies. Just maybe the same size as I used here, or you could actually probably use a smaller one, and that would fit that phrase quite nicely. I hope you liked that card. Thanks so much for tuning in and joining me for this week's Stampin' Jammies online card class featuring the Tasteful Touches stamp set. I'll be back next week with a new card and some other alternatives as well. Next month, I'm going to be featuring the Pretty Pumpkins stamp set from the August to December mini catalog. This is another fun one, and it's great for the fall, which is just around the corner. If you have any questions about my Stampin' Jammies online card class, how to register, or just Stampin' Up, scrapbooking, and stamping in general, I'm happy to answer any and all of your questions. So send me a message at inspirationwiththeresa@gmail.com. You can also check out my other projects on my blog at inspirationcards.com. And I also share lots of fun stuff and projects on my Facebook page, Inspiration Cards. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next week.